Charlie has become a good buddy and really illustrates for me Marketplace Connections because we love hanging out together. We're having great discussions along with John on this book called The Reason for God. We met down at Church Key Pub last Monday. Could have gone for 2 or 3 hours more quite easily. It was just so fun. But it was Seahawks football game in the pub. So we were leaning into each other so we could hear each other. Had a great discussion though. Charlie, born and raised in Northern California and moved to an either smaller town in southwestern Idaho. What was the town?
It's called Driggs.
Driggs?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody been to Driggs? Cliff, seriously, you have.
You stopped at the one stoplight.
Oh, that's hilarious. Charlie is married to Stacy. She made an emergency run with another laptop, right?
Yeah.
They have
and
3.
She couldn't find parking.
I'm not surprised. Yeah. Charlie started CareTech 2 or 3 years ago, and he says he took a leap of faith and opened it. Charlie has remotely taken over our computers 2 or 3 times. He has saved my bacon more than once. So I'm back in India in January. I'll be calling you before I leave.
It's like clockwork.
It's just like clockwork. So thank you, Charlie, for coming, and give him a warm welcome.
I just have to say before I start that this has been a really great group for me ever since I started coming here. It's been almost a year ago. Maybe more. Everybody here is friendly and encouraging, and there's something to learn from everybody here. And that's what I really like about this group. And every time I come, I meet a new face and learn something new. And that's really what this sort of thing should be all about. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is something that is a big deal for me as a small business owner. When we get into my history, maybe understand a little bit more about my roots and why this is such a big deal for me. We went around with the different tables for our discussion, so I'd like to go around and just go one table at a time, and hopefully you guys have discussed it a little bit and have maybe one person you want to shove up in front, and you can stay in your seat, but to be embarrassed and talk about it. So we'll start to my left here.
Employee morale at Costco is really high, and their commitment to keeping prices low for their members and their consumer base. There's been many times, they even publish, 14%. They're trying to get under that mark all the time, so you're going in and getting a good product. Likewise, if you're unsatisfied with that product, they're open to returns, right? They never hassle you, give you a tough time. They're really open and welcome to that. So their commitment to making it easy for the customers and their employees themselves is something that resonated with our table.
Well, it's too bad he's not here yet, but the person that I thought, or the company I thought of, and it's a person who's usually here, but he's out of town, it's Mark Kirshner. He was our realtor, he was our kids' realtor, and did such a good job for listening to what they needed and wanted, and then helping them figure out how to make that happen. And then when we moved to Edmonds a year and a half ago, he was so good at listening to what we said we wanted, and then after about 40, 50 houses, realizing that what we wanted wasn't what we were saying we wanted, and helping us find the house that has just been such a great place for us, and then he's really good at helping to network you to the help that you need, that it is outside of his realm, but he knows. He's got a network that he's very happy to plug you into, and that's really helped me a lot with my dad's rental houses and things I've needed help with.
Well, most people know that I'm a Trader Joe's fan. I buy a lot of my stuff from Trader Joe's, and I started with them way back as a kid when we lived near Pasadena, Colorado Boulevard, and that's their first store. My parents would go in there, and it was a different store back then. There would be barrels of nuts of all kinds, and I just love being in there. Well, years later, I'm still a fan. And when you go in there, you know that if you can't find something, somebody's going to come along and take you to it. They don't just say, oh, it's over on that first aisle. They say, come with me, and they take you to it. That's one of the reasons I love them. And when you have a product that you're not satisfied with, they'll take it back, no questions asked. And they have very friendly checkers, very friendly employees, and I just enjoy going in there. It's always a pleasure. I find new things. They have one whole shelf just for new items. So if you want to experiment and try a new item, you can. And they always give you samples. So I love Trader Joe's.
He said that they actually hire intentionally in each location an outgoing, fun-loving manager and a serious, organized manager, because they found that when you have both together, you've got a stronger team.
Wow.
And it shows.
All right. Don't just make sales, make fans. The original title, and the title that is probably on the brochure, is Don't Make Sales, Make Fans. I changed that because it's kind of important to make sales too. I don't want to send the wrong message here. All right. The idea is turning transactions into relationships for long-term success. Here's our roadmap to awesome. Just kind of giving you guys an idea of where we're going to go today. Just going to talk a little bit about me, so you know where I'm coming from, and what gives this goofy-looking guy a right to be up here and talk about this stuff. And then the good stuff. We'll get into some things that my observations, what's going on in small business and business environment in general, and what's important. And that bottom one got cut off, but it's transactions versus relationships. All right, so there's me with Upgrade Man in, oh gosh, that must have been early 90s at a technology show that my parents dragged me to. They started a computer store in our little town, one of the first, honest to goodness computer stores in the country, and very likely, or definitely in that particular area. And that was when I was 3. So I got to grow up around small business, entrepreneurs. My friends were computer techs. It was immersion at its best. I was in and out of regular school. I was homeschooled some years, regular school, other years, for various reasons. Some of them behavioral, some of them developmental. I didn't always get along with other kids. Maybe part of that entrepreneurial bug. I don't like to listen to anybody. My employees are laughing. So that was my start. My family was we had 4 kids in my family. I'm the oldest, and my parents, of course, worked in the computer store a lot. So kind of was left to my own devices, running around. I remember just grabbing a bunch of just computer parts and trying to put them together because I thought that's just what people did, and all of that. But I ended up also looking after my brothers and sister a lot as the older brother, and it was good. It taught me a lot of responsibility and empathy and parenting stuff that is I'm grateful for now, even though I wasn't at the time. All right, my family right now. This is my beautiful wife Stacy, who was going to come today, but things didn't work out that way. And then we have from the left, Luna. She's 5. Charles Jr., who is 2. I just realized how close that sounded to Carl's Jr. And then Liam, who is 3 months old. Charlie and Liam were both preemies. Charlie was born 3 months premature at 2 pounds 2 ounces. We spent 3 months in the NICU with him, getting him up to fighting weight. But he ended up being able to come home on his due date, which was a miracle. He's had 2 brain surgeries. There was a time where he was getting spinal taps daily. He's just a tough kid and a fighter. I'm so proud of him. Liam was also born premature, but a few weeks. Nothing, as harrowing. Although there was a lot of, I would say, post-traumatic stress when that happened. We got to deal with a lot of those emotions again, which was therapeutic actually, because it turned out okay. But it's my family. It's my world. They're important to me. The other half of my life is CareTech, which is our store, our computer shop. Started it, actually been doing it on the side for 7 or 8 years now. Oh, we got music. Nice. 7 or 8 years now, but it was out of my apartment. So I had a bunch of computer benches and computers and tools and everything just filling up my living room. Which eventually, when we had the young ones and my wife said, well, I really would like a couch and a TV maybe in my living room. I said, well, all right. And the startup that I had been working on full-time got bought, which was the goal of the startup. But I found myself in a situation where I had some time and could pursue a passion, and this is the thing I dove into. And I'm glad I have. It's been a great journey so far. It's been about a year and a half since then. Some quick stats that you can see up there. We've done work for 1,100 plus people or businesses. We've done over 800 in-shop repairs, 8,000 plus resolved support tickets. Before you get too excited about that, a lot of those are very minor maintenance tickets for business clients, or we fix little problems on their computers all the time, or even automatically. So that's not like necessarily that we, those were big deals, but those are problems fixed. And I think that number has grown actually since I made this slide to what are we up to for ticket numbers? I'm thinking close to 9,000.
I haven't looked at the resolve support tickets.
Oh.
But it's getting up there really quick.
Yeah. And it's speeding up a lot. We manage and monitor 100 plus computers, constantly have 24/7 monitoring. They show an issue, we get a ticket, and then either it's resolved automatically or we deal with it. And those are on a contract basis. We're talking about customer service. On Yelp, we have 48 5-star reviews. And 0 reviews below 4 stars. I think we have 1 4-star review, so I couldn't just say they're all 5. And Facebook, 4.9 star review average, 507 page likes. Again, this was a while ago. Sam, are we up to?
It's about the same.
It's about the same. Okay.
It's quality, not quantity.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I like it. All right. Now for the good stuff. And my cat was supposed to be playing the piano. It was supposed to be a video. So you just imagine the cat playing the piano. It's okay. All right. So some observations. The consumer revolution. We have something I like to call the Amazon economy, where the convenience of shopping online, where we can get goods and services relatively easily at a relatively low cost, without leaving our homes. That sort of convenience, while it is great for our society as a whole, the movement of goods and services, the increasing of our way of life, our quality of life, it does present some problems for small businesses in particular, but also some larger business. Namely, the price and availability makes price competition impossible at low volumes. If you have a good or service that can be had from, say, Amazon, a box of soap or something like that, a box of cereal, you're just not going to compete. I mean, we see that at like our IGA market here. Their prices are never better than QFC up the road, and definitely never better than Amazon. And that's a problem for the culture of convenience, because I myself do it. Why would I drive up to the grocery store unless I need it like immediately? That's another story. I'll just order it on Amazon, twiddle my thumbs until it gets here, and spend less money. The throwaway mentality, also part of it, where these goods become so cheap that we just toss them. We don't worry about repairing them. Financially, it makes sense in the short term. It's not necessarily the right thing for the long term. But that's the culture, and that's the mentality that we deal with. And along with that comes low support expectations. We know in the back of our minds that when we order something on Amazon, it's pretty much at paper thin margins, and we know we can't really expect, these companies that are selling us something at such a great price to really spend a lot of time or effort helping us use the products or meshing those products or services with our daily lives to improve our lives. It's a very transactional transaction. And then along with that comes a lack of loyalty, where you don't expect anything past the purchase. Consumers will just buy it where they can get the best price with no loyalty. They don't care, because as far as they're concerned, the relationship ends there. And that mentality is actually encouraged by these practices, by the mentality of the big wholesalers. At the bottom of this, I wanted to, it's sort of out of place on this slide, but I did want to bring up the idea of, while there are value-based businesses and and price-based businesses, clients come in those flavors as well. You will come across some people that are in this, where these are the things that they expect, and they're always going to look for the lowest price, and they're always going to not care so much about loyalty or having somebody help them do things, and that's okay. Then you're going to come across other clients who do care about the post-purchase, and they care about having a little bit of extra help, and that's valuable to them. Unless you have the cheapest price consistently, spending time courting the price clients is probably not going to help you very much. I'm not saying, kick them to the curb. I'm saying, if you happen to have the best price and they buy from you, fantastic. Don't waste your time and energy going after those clients. They won't appreciate it anyway. Okay, a lot of text on this one. What are the advantages that we have? There's already a little skewed in the playing field. What do small businesses, service-oriented businesses have that non-service-oriented businesses don't have? Client relationships. Just some statistics here. 86% of consumers trust small businesses. Only 55% trust big businesses. That's a 30% market share difference. And that's 30% people that will come to you by reputation expecting good help that they don't think they'll get from big businesses. Americans are more than 3 times as likely to express confidence in small business as they are in big businesses. You guys can read these. I don't want to just read them. Highlights, though. Customer service is the number one factor influencing how much a customer trusts a company. 92% of companies reported a decline in customer satisfaction, with customers most disappointed by inconsistent service. Consistency is key. Yes, Devin.
I think to add to this, a lot of the questions that we get as a small company are actually questions that people are actually, whenever they have like an issue at home or at their business, and they will either get bounced around so much, or they won't be able to get a hold of somebody, or they don't fix the problem. Maybe they recommend just throwing it out and getting a new one, an upgrade or something like that. So it's kind of ironic when we're actually the people who are called first, when we don't actually provide a lot of equipment or anything like that. We're the people who call when it's broken. And people, if they weren't completely reliant on these like internet service providers, because we definitely don't provide internet, things like that. They go Comcast and also their phone provider. We kind of have to pick up the slack when it comes to their customer service sometimes. So if they didn't have a monopoly on it, they would be losing customers a lot faster than they can count.
And look at the first result that comes up.
Customer abuse, no customer service.
Yeah, and it's hurting them. It's not good. To me, the most interesting thing on this slide is the bottom thing. 55% of consumers would pay more for a better customer experience. Consumers want quality over price, by and large. And that's a huge opening for companies and businesses to provide that and get those 55% of consumers that are willing to pay the prices that will put food on your table and keep the doors open, keep the lights on, because it's valuable to them, and you have to make it valuable to them. Just a little bit about this chart up here. On the side is that was from Gallup, I believe, where they basically just asked by company name whether they would trust them, how much they would trust that company. And it was, definitely obvious difference. Okay, we're back to what makes a company a relational company versus a transactional company. The first thing is a strategy. Where are their goals? And of course, every business has long-term goals. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about their strategy for that client relationship. Whether they expect that client will be okay, here's your product, thank you for the money, bye. Or whether they expect to have an ongoing relationship with them. And that actually that top line affects so much of how they approach their business and what they do. They care about, a transactional company cares about per ticket revenue. A relational company cares about customer satisfaction. Their unique value, price with transactional, trust with relational. Post-sale commitment, low for transactional, high for relational. In a relational company, it is sort of expected that and it's going to vary based on your industry and what exactly the company does. But you have to expect that if that client calls back and needs more help, or in the case of some of our examples, I heard a lot of examples about needing a return. That is post-sale support that shows a commitment to keeping that relationship good. And so many small businesses miss this boat. They argue and fight with the client who's trying to bring something back because it didn't work for them. That client, they alienated their somebody who could have been a long-term client. just to prevent one return. And luckily, Costco and these other companies, Trader Joe's, have realized this, and they realized that they have to keep people coming back. Sales approach. This one is really interesting. You know, the whole idea, the cliche of the used car salesman telling you it's going to do all kinds of amazing things and it's going to be perfect, it's going to change your life, and then you drive it off the lot and okay, not that great. Maybe there are some glaring problems that they glossed over or didn't tell you about. Maybe it's got a goofy transmission, right? That's enticing sales, where they are manipulating and just trying to make the sale. A relational company, a relational approach will do a lot more explaining. They'll present the options. They will trust their client. They'll trust the consumer to make a decision given the facts. And it's a much more cooperative sort of approach. Loyalty, low high, result on margins, race to the bottom, like we see with where it's purely price competition. It's all about who can sell things for the cheapest. There's no margin. It just gets worse. In relational, you end up with high margins, at least on the sale. Some of that cost, of course, goes back into supporting your customers post-sale and all of that. But the effect on the whole is a much higher value going both ways. I love this. The ultimate goal in transactional, it got cut off a little bit, sorry, is that the customer buys a product. The end result in relational is that the customer buys into an idea or a brand. They become a fan. That's the goal.
Charlie,
Yes.
a quick comment to rave about Devin sitting next to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you.
Aww.
When I came in a couple of months ago, because Devin had this orientation, he took a lot of time with me to explain some things. Mm-hmm. The transactional view of time usually is get it done as fast as you can and get this guy out the door. So we chit-chatted about a bunch of stuff. We eventually hit, what needed to be done. I don't know how much time we talked, but it was a good 20 minutes or so. And so again, that keeps me coming back. So you did a great job.
Thank you. That does happen a lot, where I'll be taking so much time to explain things to people in shop that the phone starts ringing, and the person that I'm talking to is like looking over at the phone, and I'm just like, and so this is what I really want to bring it home, and then I'll go over to the phone and our business clients, and I'll say, hey, it's such and such. Oh, can I give you a call right back? I'm with a client right now, and they're like, yeah, I don't want to cut you off, and so people are, they kind of have that. They give us the benefit of patience as well, because we take such a long time. They're willing to wait for us to, not be in a rush, basically.
They know they'll get their turn.
Yeah.
Exactly. I say, I don't want to put you on hold and have you like sitting there. I'm going to call you and I'm going to give you the amount of time that you deserve, basically.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Could you, on that last point you made, could you give an example of product versus idea?
Oh, yes. So I'm going to go back to the Trader Joe's example, because when you go there, yes, you're buying a product, but it's so much more than that to you. It's another good example. John brought up REI, because I'm going to use this. Sorry, REI. He goes in there, and it's more than just they have carabiners and shoes and stuff. It's that going in there reminds him of going up to the mountains. It has connotations. So that's one way that it could be an idea. The other way is that you just believe so much in what that company's doing and how they're doing things. There's an altruistic part of it where you want to support that, you want to promote that, so that becomes more of a norm in society in general. And that's not an isolated feeling that only a few people have. People on the whole have that, where they want to do that sort of stuff to promote the kind of business that they like going to. Devin again.
Sorry. Also, to build on that, Charlie was explaining how it is in other businesses. Specifically for us, we often let people know the limitations of what we're giving them too. When they say, I've been using Windows XP, or I've been using Windows Vista for a long time, or they'll say something like, I can't stand using, Windows 10. What will it take for me to stay with like how my computer is? And we're very clear about, we can do this for you. We can provide this service where we like roll you back or back up your data or keep you on the operating system that you like, keep your computer running the way it is. But we let people know that there's like security risks and what is actually concerned with it, because they hear these things like Microsoft no longer supports this, or this is no longer supported. We let them know, not that it's going to be perfect. We're not trying to sell you a product. We're trying to really fully give you like an understanding of not just the pros but also the cons, so that you're not just buying a product or a service, but you have an understanding of what the whole package is. What it comes with.
Yeah, exactly. Setting expectations. Yeah. And that's a line item on this slide. So what can we do to cultivate the trust advantage? How do we appeal to that altruistic nature of people? How do we create a positive feedback loop? We hear negative feedback loops all the time. How do we create a positive feedback loop around our brand and our image? Giving back to the community. It's huge, and this is something that I actually do not do enough of. So it's something that I'm working on, getting better at. Cultivating relationships with and listening to your value clients. Again, I make the distinction there between your price clients and your value clients. If your price clients, they're just going to say, "Oh, I wish this was cheaper," or "Can you do less for me and charge me less?" That's generally not the path you want to go. Listen to your value clients. Listen to the ones who, appreciate a little bit of extra effort, and specifically listen to the kinds of things that they appreciate the most. Build your services around your clients. So when you've listened to them and you understand what things they value the most, build the services that way. Build it so you can provide them with what they value most efficiently. Set clear and realistic expectations. This is what Devin's talking about, and actually what John was talking about too. We do take some extra time, sit down with people when they bring their computer in or when they call us with a problem, because we've found, it's a little selfish, but we've found that spending 20 minutes ahead of the repair, really understanding and helping the client understand what's going to happen, saves us so much effort and frustration in the long run on both sides. I find that people aren't. It's not so much that people don't want things to have problems. Problems always happen. It's that people don't like being blindsided, and that's where you're going to get the bad reviews when expectations aren't met. It can be solved by setting clear expectations at the beginning. And that's hard to do because we want to rush in, particularly computer people. We like to just jump in and solve a problem. So taking some time is a little counterintuitive, takes some discipline, but definitely worth it. Do what your competitors can't. And those people come to you and they say, "Oh yeah, I tried the other guys and this is what happened." Really take that to heart, because that's something that literally drove them from a competitor to you. And you darn well better do the thing that they said that the other person couldn't do, or they're going to move on again. But if you do it, you have a good client. Compete on quality and trust. Be upfront about it. Be like, "Look, I don't have the best price. It's okay. Sometimes I do. Not always. But we'll work with you. We'll take time with you. We'll help solve your problem, and you can trust me. 55% of people will pay more for that. It's okay. Don't feel self-conscious about it. And that's something I have to worry about too. Like that's a personal struggle for me because I'm affected by this. The consumer, the Amazon economy, and I feel pressure to have the lowest price from myself, even because that's what I expect from places I buy things from sometimes. So I have to really struggle with that, and I know my guys will struggle with it too. You know, a lot of times we'll really underbill. Well, you know, we'll spend like a day straight, 2 people for a day on a computer, bill them for 2 hours. I'm like, okay, but you know, and that's because we told them it would take 2 hours, and we do it for 2 hours. So the next step here, and I was going to add this as a line on this slide, but I didn't. It's communicate. If as things go, as things progress, things change. We don't always know at the outset exactly how things are going to turn out. As things change, there needs to be an open line of communication. This goes back to people not liking to be blindsided. If you're in communication, you're letting them know how things are going. Even if things go badly, you've been upfront, you've been transparent, and that goes a long way. A long way. Sometimes you don't want to because it's embarrassing. Like, oh yeah, well, we could have done this a different way. We could have not spent that time working on going down this road of troubleshooting or working on this problem when it could have been solved by going this way. And we found it out that way, but not until after we'd done it this way. Yeah, how do you write that email? How do you make that phone call? And you're like, yeah, I just wasted some of your money and time, following a false lead. But it has to be communicated, even if it's embarrassing. Bottom line, provide high value and expect high value. Know your customers. This goes back to setting those expectations and listening to what they have to say. This has been a helpful homework for me, and it's something that I actively try to practice. And this goes back to wanting to just solve the problem. And I think it's mostly, not to be sexist here, but it's mostly a guy thing. We just like to solve things. And we have this problem with our relationships sometimes too, where we just want to solve the problem and we don't really want to listen. So it's a discipline thing. Where, and this is my little thing that I can do to help break that habit. And it's to listen and ask questions before I make any significant statements. Sometimes somebody says, oh, my computer's blah, 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 and you just go, oh, okay, well, it's probably blah, 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 blah. No. Okay, well, then what does it do when you do this? And in a relationship, it's okay, how does that make you feel? And then what happened? Those sorts of things. It's a good little tidbit that's been helpful for me. Maybe something the rest of you have mastered, but it's good for me. When you're asking questions, a little helpful acronym that I've used is FORM: Family, Occupation, Recreation, Motivation. You ask people questions in these areas. You ask them a question about their family. You ask them about where they work. You ask them what they do for fun. You ask what motivates them. These are the kinds of questions that everybody likes to answer. And they will start a conversation because you'll find commonality in there. And then expect an ongoing relationship and behave accordingly. Don't alienate. Align your interests with your clients.
Go faster.
Oh, hurry up. Okay. Well, this is the last one. Adversarial versus collaborative. You don't want to be on the other side from your client. This is particularly in repairs. We want to come alongside and be a helper rather than that person that they think is just trying to squeeze money out of them. The crooked car mechanic trope. Design win-win products and services. Gear your services so that everybody benefits when there are no problems. Don't benefit from other people's problems, or as little as possible. Put some skin in the game. Make sure your clients know that if things go badly, you're there for them, and you will make sacrifices. You don't want the idea of them thinking that you're, again, creating problems so that you can make more money off them. Make sure that when things happen, you make concessions. Things don't always go as planned. Hey, we spent a long time, troubleshooting something that wasn't the right way to go. We thought it might be. It led us to a solution eventually. We're going to not bill you for that whole time because it was our mistake. It's okay. And then especially ask for feedback and the opportunity to correct mistakes. We send an email 10 days after every repair we do that says, please, please tell us if there's anything we can do to improve. That's important to us. That's important for two things. One is it gives them an ability to vent to us rather than like on Yelp. Because somebody writing a bad review on Yelp, that's their last resort. They're not going to start there. They do that when they don't feel like they're being listened to. So we ask for the feedback and the opportunity to correct mistakes. Then we also say, if you are satisfied, please tell your friends. We ask for the referral. And that's helped immensely. So it's an if then, and maybe a letter or an email or something. If you're happy, write us a review. If you're not happy, let us know. We'll make it right. All right. That is it. Well, I don't know if we have time for questions. I ran long. Okay, guys. Thank you very much.